This call is now being recorded.
So, yes. So in the second numerical, which is on your screen, it is based on vapor power cycle. So what are the conditions we have given? The boiler pressure is 40 bar and the condenser pressure is 0.05 bar. The steam is dry and saturated at the inlet of steam turbine. Find out the Rankine cycle efficiency, specific steam consumption, and net work. These are the three parameters you have to find out. So once again, I'm repeating. In a steam power plant, the boiler pressure is 40 bar, condenser pressure is 0.05 bar, the steam is dry and saturated at the inlet of turbine. Find out Rankine cycle efficiency, find out net work, and find out the specific steam consumption. Okay, so these three parameters we have to find out. Okay, now how to solve this numerical? So you may refer the steam table, or if it is an online examination, the data from the steam table is given to you. Okay, so first we'll go to the boiler pressure. So at boiler pressure P1, we'll note the enthalpy of the dry saturated steam. So directly Hg we are going to record. Hg is the enthalpy of dry saturated steam, and Sg, which is the entropy of the dry saturated steam. So Hg is 2800 kilojoule per kg and Sg is 6.068 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So this data we can write it from a pressure table referring the steam table. Okay. Now next, at pressure P2, that is condenser pressure 0.05 bar, the steam is going to become wet. Steam is going to become wet. So why it is going to become wet? Because the heat up from the steam is extracted by the turbine. So when we extract the steam is going to become wet. So in that case, we have to record, we have to note down the properties like, we have to note down the properties like HF, that is sensible heat, HFG is latent heat, SF sensible entropy, and SFG latent entropy. This is at 0.05 bar. Now since at this particular pressure the state point is 4, so we are writing HF4 is equal to 137 kilojoule per kg, HFG4 is equal to 2423 kilojoule per kg, SF4 is equal to 0.47 kilojoule per kg Kelvin, SFG is equal to 7.918 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. And volume we don't require. Okay, so this data we have noted from a steam table. Now, yes, I will go to the TS diagram. Now this is the point number 3 lying on the saturation curve. At point number 4, the steam is going to wet. So we are not knowing the dryness fraction of that steam. We are not knowing. So to find out the dryness fraction, X4, we have to equate entropy at point 3 is equal to entropy at point 4. Okay. So the equating entropies at point 3 and at point 4. So we have, if we equate the entropy at point 3 and point 4, we can write S3 is equal to S4. Now this S3 means what? The entropy at pressure P2 at 40 bar, boiler pressure. So at boiler pressure, we have to refer the SG. SG stands for the entropy of the dry steam. So already we have noted 6.068. So we have noted 6.068. Now the entropy of wet steam, that is S4, that is equal to SF plus X into SFG. But where we have to refer these things at a condenser pressure, that is 0.5 bar. So that already we have noted. So 0.47 plus X4 into 7.91. So we have noted 0.47 and 7.9. So from this find out this X4 and this comes out to be 0.70. Means what? The steam is wet. Now as we are getting our question is to find out the Rankine cycle efficiency and the turbine work. So what we'll do to find out the Rankine cycle efficiency, it is nothing but, so this is our Rankine cycle. Okay, this is our Rankine cycle. So this is point number 3 and point number 4. So we have to find out the enthalpy at point number 4 to find out the turbine work. So enthalpy at point number 4. Now at point number 4, the steam is wet. So refer the formula of enthalpy of wet steam. It is HF plus X into HFG. Since it is a state point 4, we write H4 is equal to HF4 plus X4 into HFG4 at a pressure of 0.05 bar. So this data we already noted from the steam table. HF4 is 137, HFG is 2423, and X4 we have find out 0.7. So we can find out H4, that is 1849 kilojoule per kg. So this is the enthalpy at 0.4. And after getting enthalpy at 0.4, we can find out the turbine work. WT is equal to H3 minus H4. So this H3 we have at 40 bar from the steam table already we have noted, and H4 right now we have find out. So the difference between H3 minus H4, we are getting the turbine work, that is 952 kilojoule per kg. Okay. Now amount of heat supplied, because to find out Rankine cycle efficiency, we have to find out amount of heat supplied. So amount of heat supplied is given by, suppose this is our Rankine cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Amount of heat supplied is QS is H3 minus H2. H3 minus H2. So already we have noted this H3, that is 2800. Now what is H2? H2 is equal to HF1, enthalpy of fluid. And this we have to refer at a condenser pressure of 0.5 bar. So that already we have noted it is 141. So 2800 minus 141, 2658 kilojoule per kg is the amount of heat supplied. Now the Rankine cycle efficiency is now equal to net work upon heat supplied. So net work is equal to turbine work, because we are neglecting the pump work, and heat supply is 2658. So we are getting the Rankine cycle efficiency as 35%. Okay, so net work is turbine work, that is 946. Now next parameter we have to find out is the specific steam consumption, SSC, and the formula of specific steam consumption is 3600 divided by turbine work. So 3600 divided by turbine work is 946. So we are getting 3.78 kg per kilowatt hour as a specific steam consumption. We are getting 3.78 kg per kilowatt hour as a specific steam consumption. So meaning of this, if you have to develop a 1 unit of power, we need a steam of 3.78 kg. 3 kilo steam is required to develop a 1 kilowatt hour power. So this is a specific steam consumption. So this is the problem number 2. So like that, you have to solve the number of problems based on this vapor power cycle. The data from the steam table is given to you. It may be directly, the value of X4 may be also given to you. Based on that, we have to find out turbine work, Rankine cycle efficiency, specific steam consumption, etc. These parameters we have to find out. Okay. So, yes, is there any doubt or difficulty in this problems? So we'll discuss here. Yes, especially the problem number 2. Once again, you go through it. If any problem, we'll discuss it here. Yes, go through it once again. If any questions are there, we'll discuss here. If there are no questions, I'm going to write a questions to you. So this is the TS diagram, 1 to 2. It will be like this. Sorry, it will be like this. This is your TS diagram. So I will go down. You should know how to find out the dryness fraction. To find out the dryness fraction, only formula we have S3 is equal to S4. Why? Because 3 to 4 is the isentropic process. And during isentropic process, the entropy remains constant. So that's why we have equated S3 is equal to S4. Then enthalpy at point 4 we are not knowing. पता नहीं है तो कैसे निकाल लेंगे तो at point 4 the steam is wet फिर wet steam का enthalpy का formula क्या है HF plus X into HFG HF plus X into HFG so write down that formula put the values get the enthalpy of wet steam. Then what is turbine work? Turbine work is H3 minus H4. The temperature drop, sorry, enthalpy drop across the turbine. That is state point 3 and state point 4. So turbine work is equal to H3 minus H4. Then heat supplied. The enthalpy change across the boiler. So process is 2 to 3. When the heat is added, the enthalpy is going to increase. So it is H3 minus H2 is the heat supplied. And then we have Rankine cycle efficiency as net work divided by heat supplied. Now we are neglecting the pump work, so net work is turbine work. And then we have specific steam consumption formula 3600 divided by turbine work. From this we can find out the specific steam consumption. So any specific doubt if you have, we'll discuss here. If anybody is not clear how to find out dryness fraction, how to refer the properties from steam table. Yes, anybody is having any doubt.
Sir, the value of the turbine work and net work was different. Is there any reason for it?
Value of turbine work and net work. Yes, good doubt. All of you listen here. Turbine work. I will go to the TS diagram. I will go to the TS diagram. TS diagram. So this is the TS diagram. At point 3, the turbine is going to start, and at point 4, the turbine is going to end. So turbine work WT is equal to H3 minus H4. ठीक है? Now what is net work? Net work is equal to turbine work minus pump work. Now since we are neglecting this pump work, we are assuming the pump work is equal to 0. So net work is equal to turbine work. The net work is equal to turbine work. We have simplified this problem by neglecting the pump work. In actual case, in a big problems, what is happening? The pump work is 1 kilowatt. And as we have said, the turbine work is 250 into 4. There are 4 turbines are there. It is 1000 megawatt. 1000 megawatt is the power developed, while pump work is 1 kilowatt. So 1 kilowatt divided by 1000 megawatt. So it is neglected. So that's why here in our case, the net work is equal to turbine work. Yes, is it clear, Parth?
Sir, but in the question, the values are different, which we found for the turbine work and which we used
Sir,
in
this
the
is first
network.
question, sir. Sir. This is the first question. In
Yeah.
second question, the values are
Yeah,
given.
I'll go to second question. In second question
Sir.
is okay. Now, just a minute. This turbine work is H3 minus H4. So H3 is 2785. It is coming from 40 bar, and this is H4 that we have calculated. H4, okay, 1863, and H3 is 2785. 2785.
So this is a different question, sir. The one which we did now.
Okay, this one is okay. This one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In this case, now H3 is 2800. Okay, 2800, and H4 we have to find out. H4 is enthalpy of fluid stream, बराबर? उसका formula HF plus X into HFG.
Yes, sir.
अभी 4 क्यों है? क्योंकि state point 4 है और pressure है condenser pressure. So we are getting H4 is 1849, and turbine work is H3 is 2800. H3 is 2800. Okay, so 2800 minus 1849. This is turbine work. Yes, Parth. Then what we
Yes.
want to say?
So below where we use the network, it should be the same value, right? 952.5. But here it's 946.50. So is it a mistake or is there a reason?
Yes. Turbine work is 952. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 952. It is 952. Mistake. It is writing mistake. 952.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And this is heat supply. 956 instead of 946, it is 952. Okay.
Sir, so in this case, pump work is neglected or taken in consideration. If it is considered, then please show it.
It is neglected.
Neglected.
It is neglected.
It is neglected.
Directly we are getting 952. Okay. Now I'm
directly.
going to Rohit, I am going to explain it. The formula of pump work. Pump work का काम क्या है कि प्रेशर बढ़ाना है. कहाँ से कहाँ? From 40 bar to from 0.5, I think 0.5, no? From 0.5 to 40 bar, that pump has to increase the pressure. So bar we have to convert into Pascal. So multiply by 10 is to 5, and this is multiplied by the change in volume of water. It is 0.01. So pump work का formula क्या है? The VF at condenser pressure into change in pressure by the pump. That is the formula of pump work. So from which we can find out the pump work. And then WT minus the pump work is the net work. But to simplify the problem, we are neglecting the pump work.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Just for your simplification, we have reduced these calculations.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yes, anybody is having any doubt? At least in the second problem that we have noted. Yes. Yes, Bhavesh, Suraj, Sushant, Swanand, Tanmay. Anybody
No,
have
sir.
any doubt? So
No,
please,
sir.
it's request from my side. Yes, all of you. Book I have sent you on the WhatsApp. All of you get the book. MM
Yes,
Rathod
sir. Yes.
मिल गया क्या?
Yes, sir.
ग्रुप में मैंने डाला है. So you have to download it and you can read that book. Second thing, the PPT is also uploaded on the VOLP. So at the end, I'm going to request you. So PPTs are also there on the VOLP. So I think second PPT in the first bit, second PPT is the full PPT. So that you download it for your reference and try to prepare it. Also, whatever the video lectures are there, also I'm going to drop it on VOLP. So it's a request from my side. Also give, and if any doubt, we'll discuss here. On the Saturday, there may be chances conducting first CIE examination. So this completes a very long chapter, that is a air standard cycles. So what we have studied the different types of cycles we have studied. First one is we have started with Carnot cycle, Otto cycle, diesel cycle. Then we have seen vapor power cycle, then vapor compression cycle. So and then Joules, yes, Otto, Carnot, diesel, yes, they are in kind. Then Platon or Joule. So what you do, you take one paper, let's say 12th May, maybe you are doing that. On one paper, you write Otto cycle, draw a PV and TS diagram. Write down the formula of Otto cycle. Diesel cycle, draw PV and TS diagram, write down the formula of efficiency. Draw the dual cycle, draw the PV and TS diagram, write down the formula. Then Joule cycle, then vapor compression cycle, and vapor power cycle. So these 5-6 cycles, you draw it on one pages, so that will become a ready reference for you for the revising the things. Okay. Okay. So any specific doubt related with this cycles? Yes. Vedant. I think Sejal is absent today. Atharva Kulkarni. Okay, if there are no doubt, I'll move ahead. Now, just now, whatever the cycles we have studied, these are called as a air standard cycles. These are called as a yeah. Yes, Tanmay, it's a good thing that you are going to ask. Now, what I will request you in the MM Rathod. So whatever the problems are there, I will give you the problem numbers. So these problem numbers you should solve for practice problems from MM Rathod book. So I will give you the practice problems. So that problems, minimum 2-3 problems on every cycle, you try to solve it. Okay. So in the next lecture, I'm going to drop this practice problems for you. Okay. So I will move ahead. Now what we have studied the basic air standard cycles. Okay. Now in the next level, what we are going for, this is not in scope, just I'm going to tell you. In the next level, what we are doing, we are adding the fuel to the air. So it becomes a air plus fuel cycles. Air plus fuel cycles. So right now what we are considering only air as a working medium. But in next level, we are going for air plus fuel cycle. And what is happening with this air plus fuel, that we are going to study. And then the last level will be the actual cycle. We have seen in the Otto cycle, the heat is added at constant volume. But in actual practice, it may not be happen. Some heat may be added at constant volume, some heat may be added at constant pressure. So things are different one. So actual cycles are again different from the your theoretical or air standard cycles. So first level is air standard cycles that we have studied. If you move ahead, the fuel air cycle will be there. And the lastly, we have the actual cycles. So up to actual cycles, we are going. And next one is the actual practical when we are going to run that engine. So that maybe your actual cycle will be there. So your scope is to understand the cycle. So whenever you join anywhere in the company or any organization, if you are joining the organization like Tata Technologies and you have been given a project on some IC engines or based on the hydrogen vehicles or a petrol engine. So in that case, all these things are coming into act. Okay. So for this purpose, we should have a particular, you can say, the feel of all these cycles, and we should know the basic. That's why this is the first chapter. So now we are going for the second chapter, second unit. It is a fuels and combustion. So just a minute, I'm sharing the PPT. Fuels and combustion. Now the fuel is very important part in the combustion. Okay, so if you see, along with air, the fuel is added, and when that fuel burns, we are getting the high energy, high pressure, and that high pressure it produces a force, and when that force impact on the piston, we are getting the energy. So fuel is the important part in the combustion chamber, and you are knowing that the fuel is different types of fuels are used, solid, liquid, and gases, and generally a carbon and hydrogen bond it is used as a fuel. Carbon and a hydrogen bond is used as a fuel. So when this CH bond, when it reacts with oxygen, it is going to form the products of combustion, and these products of combustion are carbon dioxide, water, sulfur dioxide, and oxides of nitrogen. Okay, so in the combustion chamber, our aim is all the fuel particles or molecules should be utilized, should be burned in the combustion chamber. Then only we are getting the higher amount of energy. If some of the fuel particles are not burning, so that is loss for us because these are not taking part in the combustion process. So while designing a combustion chamber for your IC engines, for a petrol engine or for a diesel engine, the due care is taken how the every fuel molecule should get the oxygen. If you observe the inlet pipe and outlet pipe of your IC engine, so they have given some curvature. So the purpose of given curvature is that when the air fuel mixture enters inside a combustion chamber, it should have a swirling motion. And because of that swirling motion, all the fuel should get the air. Because as combustion starts, it is going to form the combustible gases. And that combustible gases may surround the neighboring, you can say, just I will draw here the combustion chamber. So yes, all of you know the combustion chamber. What is the meaning of combustion chamber? Yes. Anybody of you? What is the combustion chamber?
Sir,
The
area
combustion
above
of
the
fuel
piston.
takes place.
Where the fuel is going to burn. Okay, so I have drawn this IC engine. Okay, so this is the IC engine. So you have here inlet pipe and you have here exhaust pipe. Okay, now whatever the volume above the piston, so this is called as a combustion chamber. Okay, so we are admitting air plus fuel mixture in case of IC petrol engine. So when it enters, it is given some swirling flow. And when your spark plug adds the heat, so what happens when the spark plug adds the heat, the combustion starts from the top end. So here the fuel particles are going to burn, fuel molecules are going to burn. Suppose we have fuel molecules here. So we have suppose fuel molecule here, and if this fuel molecule, if it is surrounded by the burnout gases, then this fuel molecule is not getting the air or oxygen, and it remains unburned in the combustion chamber. तो जितने फ्यूल के मॉलिक्यूल्स अनबर्न रहते हैं उतनी आपकी जो इकोनॉमी है आपकी इंजन की कंबशन चेंबर की कम होती है. So to have a maximum fuel economy, all the fuel particles should be sprayed in the air. It should be sprayed in the air. So these are the suppose fuel molecules, and suppose these are the air molecules. So here it is expected that all the fuel molecules should get the air. Then only you have a higher combustion efficiency. Because on the combustion efficiency, your next efficiency depends. Your overall efficiency of vapor power cycle or Rankine cycle or Otto cycle, it depends upon the designing of combustion chamber. So that's why in some cases, if you observe the piston of your engine, so small cavity is given at the top side. A small cavity is given so that whenever the air fuel mixture comes inside a cavity, it gets some swirling motion, and because of that, proper mixing of air and fuel is going to take place, and we are getting the good combustion efficiency. So it comes in the design of combustion chamber. design of combustion chamber for petrol and for auto cycle or for petrol and diesel vehicles that we are going to study in the next year, most probably, if you have selected the elective as IC engine. Okay, so so the main purpose of this introduction is that so we have to study our main focus is how to achieve a complete combustion. And for the complete combustion of fuel, what should be the design of combustion chamber? So basic of that, we are going to study the some combustion reactions, how to convert the volumetric analysis into gravimetric analysis, what are the products of combustion, what should be the complete combustion, that we are going to study. Okay. Yes. So I'll go to directly. So all of you are knowing that what is fuel. So fuel is a chemical substance which liberates the heat energy on combustion. So different types of fuels are there: solid, liquid, and gases. If you take a solid, it's coal, wood, etc. Briquetting of some agriculture product. Liquid, we are knowing that kerosene, petrol, diesel, crude oil, and gas, yes, CNG, LNG, LPG. So these are the different types of fuels. Okay. So generally, fuel means what? In the most of the cases, it is a carbon hydrogen bond, and major constituents are carbon, hydrogen, and sulfur. If you take a methane, it is having a formula of CH4. CH4. So there is a four bonds are there with carbon. CH4 is the methane. Okay. So sulfur is a constituent of the fuel, but its presence is undesirable. So we have seen the sulfur, it will cause the sulfur dioxide, and it is a not a um, helpful for our health. It is injurious to our health. Especially if you see onion, कांदा कधी चिरला असेल तर तुम्हाला आठवेल in the onion there is a lot of sulfur is there, so it is irritating to our nose. So sulfur is not desirable. When the fuel and air they burns, they are going to form products of combustion and they develop a heat energy. Okay, and that heat energy produces a pressure, and because of that pressure the force is created, and that force we have to utilize to run our roadways. So we are knowing that force is equal to pressure upon area. So as pressure increases, the force is going to increase. Okay, so I will move ahead. So so we'll see the chemical reaction, how the reactions which are going to take place. Just a minute. I'm going to put my hand. So we are going for a chemical reaction. So there are two types of chemical reactions already we have seen. It is an exothermic reaction and endothermic reaction. Chemical reaction is nothing but the rearrangement of the atoms due to redistribution of electrons. So exothermic reaction, heat is released. Endothermic reaction, heat is absorbed. So we are going to concentrate on the exothermic reaction. Now we'll go to the what are the physical laws of combustion. First, law of conservation of mass. The mass can be neither be created nor destroyed. Reactant rearrange themselves after combustion with a liberation of energy, but total mass of material during combustion remains constant. So we'll take a one chemical reaction. Carbon reacts with oxygen. It is going to form a CO2. The atomic weight of carbon is 12. The molecular weight of oxygen is 32. So total weight of CO2 carbon dioxide is 44. So 32 plus 12, 44 is equal to 44. So the first law is law of conservation of mass. The mass of reactant is equal to mass of product. It is remain constant. Second law, law of conservation of energy. Already you are knowing that the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither created nor destroyed, but it can be conserved. Then ideal gas laws. So we have studied the Boyle's law, Charles law, Gay-Lussac law. We have seen a generalized equation, perfect gas equation, PV is equal to MRT. Then Dalton's law of partial pressure. The total pressure of mixture of a perfect gas is sum of its partial pressure. The total pressure exerted by a gas is equal to sum of partial pressure. For example, in the balloon, we have the gases. The gases are having the different constituents, like hydrogen is there, helium is there, air is there, nitrogen oxide is there. So the total pressure exerted by the gas inside a balloon is equal to sum of partial pressures developed by these number of gas. So P is equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3. Amget law. Now the total volume occupied by a gas is equal to sum of volume which could be occupied by each of the constituents when they are at same pressure, same temperature as that of mixture. Total volume occupied by gas is equal to sum of volume which could be occupied by each constituents when they are at same pressure and temperature. So total volume is equal to sum of the volumes of each constituents. Okay, suppose if you take a grain of wheat or jari. So if the volume of one, you can say grain is 10 milligram. If some more grams are, some 100 grams are grains are there, so 10 into 100. So that is the total volume occupied by that particular grain. So total volume is again sum of the, you can say, the volume of the each of the constituents. So Dalton's law of partial pressure and Amgen's law, you can say, uh, uh, you can say it's a partial volume. So total volume is equal to the sum of the volumes of all the constituents. Okay. Then Avogadro's law, it states that the molecular mass of all perfect gases occupy the same volume under similar conditions of pressure and temperature. It states that the mass of all perfect gases occupy same volume under same conditions of temperature and pressure. So what is the meaning of this? It says that if the molecular weight is remaining same, then they occupy same volume. Suppose the molecular weight is 44 of two constituents. So they are occupying the same amount of, you can say, volume. If molecular mass is same, they can occupy same volume. Suppose 44 is the molecular mass of two constituents, of two compounds. So they are going to occupy the same amount of volume. Okay. So this is about the different types of laws. Law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of energy, ideal gas laws, Dalton's law of partial pressure, Amgot law of, you can say, partial volume. Then lastly, we have Avogadro's law. If mass is same, they are going to occupy the same volume. Now the combustion reactions, so already number of reactions you might have studied in the 12th standard, you studied the organic and inorganic chemistry. So the fuel is nothing but a combination of carbon plus hydrogen. And when it reacts with energy, when it reacts with air, it's called the liberation of energy. So by law of conservation of mass, the total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product. So total number of atoms remains constant in the reactants as well as product. Oxygen is 23.2% by mass and nitrogen is 76.2% by mass. Okay, so just wait where we are. Okay, so the total amount of gas, uh, total amount of oxygen in air by mass is 23% and by volume it is 21%. Okay, so already you might have knowing or you have did the experiment in the 8 or 9 standard regarding this percentage of oxygen present in the air. Now we'll go to the some combustion reactions. These reactions are important for finding out the amount of oxygen required and for finding out the products of combustion form. So next point, yes, after the amount of oxygen and by volume and mass, we are going for a combustion reactions. Okay, so listen here. We'll go for the combustion of hydrogen, combustion of carbon, combustion of nitrogen, combustion of sulfur to find out the amount of oxygen required for a combustion of fuel. So first we'll go for the combustion of hydrogen. When hydrogen reacts with oxygen, it will form a water. Okay, so 2 moles of hydrogen required 1 mole of oxygen. It is going to form 2 moles of hydrogen, 2 moles of H2O, that is water by volume. And by mass, we have to put the atomic weight. So the atomic weight of hydrogen is 1. So 1 into 2 multiplied by 2, that is reaction is balanced. Atomic weight of oxygen is 16. So 16 into 2, that is equal to 2 into bracket 2 into 1 plus 16. So what we are getting, 4 plus 32 is equal to 36. So if you observe, it is a mass balance is there. On the reactant side, we have 36. On the product side, we have 36. Now what we are doing, we are dividing this by a 4. So 4 by 4 is 1, 32 by 4 is 8, and 36 by 4 is 9. So 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. So meaning of this, 1 kg of hydrogen requires 8 kg of oxygen, and it is going to form 9 kg of water. So this is the reaction of hydrogen with oxygen. Means if you have to burn 1 kg of hydrogen, we require 8 kg of oxygen, and the products of combustion form are 9 kg of hydrogen. So this is the combustion reaction of hydrogen with oxygen. Okay. Similarly, we can write the combustion reaction of. Okay. So in combustion reaction, oxygen is accompanied by nitrogen in air if air is supplied, and this nitrogen remains inert up to a temperature of 1200 degrees centigrade. So with 1 mole of oxygen, near about 79 by 21 moles of nitrogen are coming. Or with 1 mole of oxygen, 3.46 moles of nitrogen are coming. So if you are writing this equation, the nitrogen remains inert in the chemical reaction. So we can write 2 into H2 plus O2 plus 79 by 21 N2 is equal to twice H2O plus 79 by 20. The meaning of this is the nitrogen remains inert in the products of combustion, but it will become a part of products of combustion. So 79 by 21, 79 by 21. It is coming as it is, but it is going to become a part of products of combustion. So here the 1 mole of oxygen along with 1 mole, 79 by 21 moles of nitrogen are coming. So that is remaining as it is in the products of combustion. 1 mole of carbon reacts 12 atomic weight of carbon and the weight of we have 12 plus 32 is equal to 44. So we'll get 1 kg of carbon requires 8 by 3 kg of oxygen, 11 by 3 kg of carbon dioxide. So to burn completely carbon into carbon dioxide, we need 8 by 3 kg of oxygen, and it is going to form 11 by 3 kg of carbon dioxide. So this is the combustion reaction of carbon with oxygen. Okay, so I will go further. Combustion of carbon with carbon monoxide. Combustion of carbon into carbon monoxide. So you tell me by mass how much kg of oxygen is required and how much kg of CO is formed. Write down this equation and tell me. If carbon burns with oxygen and if the combustion is incomplete, how much kg of oxygen is required and how much kg of CO is formed. So write down this combustion reaction. Yes, anybody of you? As per the volume, 2 moles of carbon requires 1 mole of oxygen. It is going to form 2 moles of carbon dioxide. As per the mass, write down put the mass in the equation and try to find out the requirement of oxygen. Yes, anybody? Okay. So, atomic weight of carbon is 12. 12 into 2 is 4 by 3. This will check. And what about the products of combustion? What about the products of combustion? How much kg of CO is formed? Yes, anybody? Yes, Prasad, it is correct. 4 by 3 kg of oxygen. Yes, 7 by 3 kg of CO. Yes. So, divide this equation by, so we have 24 kg of carbon. It reacts with 32 kg of oxygen. It is going to form a 56 kg of carbon dioxide. So divide this equation by 24. So 1 kg of carbon requires 4 by 3 kg of oxygen, and it is going to form 7 by 3 kg of CO. CO, it's not CO2, it's CO. Yes, I will modify it. It's carbon monoxide, not CO2. It is going to form a carbon monoxide. So it's an incomplete combustion is there. So it is going to form a carbon monoxide. Okay. So 1 kg of carbon, it requires 4 by 3 kg of oxygen to form 7 by 3 kg of CO. So in the previous case, we have seen for a complete combustion, we need a 8 kg of oxygen. Sorry, just a minute. Carbon. We need a 8 by 3 kg of oxygen for a complete combustion. And for incomplete combustion, we need 4 by 3 kg of oxygen. Okay, so for a complete combustion, we have to supply more amount of oxygen. Then combustion of sulfur. 30 reacts with, it is going to form SO2. Divide this equation by 32. Sulfur required oxygen, it is going to form a 2 kg of sulfur dioxide. For requires 1 kg, 2 kg of sulfur dioxide. So, which will give us the or the constituents oxygen required and going to form. So, for hydrogen to convert into water, we need 8 kg of oxygen. It is going to form 9 kg of water. For carbon to form into carbon dioxide, we need 8 by 3 kg of oxygen, and it is going to form 11 by 3 kg of carbon dioxide. For carbon to convert into carbon monoxide, we need 4 by 3 kg of oxygen, and it is going to form 7 by 3 kg of carbon monoxide. For sulfur to convert into sulfur dioxide, we need 1 kg of oxygen, and it is going to form the 2 kg of sulfur dioxide. So from this combustion reaction, we have find out this data, and based on that data, we have to find out the amount of oxygen required for complete combustion. And at the same time, the amount of air required for complete combustion we are going to find out. Okay. So that we'll do in the next lecture. So if any doubts, if you have, we'll discuss. Yes, register your attendance with the help of Google Form. Okay, so I'll have to register to ULP, and I will request to one of you should download that PPT and you can circulate amongst you. So thanks a lot for being available and your patience listening.